Okay, fam, as promised, we're going to talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the altcoin market. So, with that being said, let's get it. All right, so the first thing I wanted to show you guys here before we actually get into anything else is the Ethereum and Bitcoin monthly returns. Now, why does this matter? Because it gives us kind of an indication of, based on historical data, where things are likely going to go. All right. So what I want to point out here, okay, I'm looking for something specific here, is the post halving year returns. Okay. So the halving years for Bitcoin was in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Obviously for 2025, we don't have the returns, right? So the only thing we can really look at here is 2017 and 2021. So 2017, pretty good year for Bitcoin. But if I go over to the right here, you guys can see that Ethereum absolutely smashed Bitcoin. Okay. And keep in mind, this is Q1, the post halving year. Okay. This is the quarter that we're literally in the quarter that I was telling you guys about before. Okay. Now, obviously, nothing's going to play out perfectly every single time. You know, the old saying goes that history often rhymes but doesn't necessarily repeat, right? But still expecting a very, very bullish Q1 for Ethereum, which if Ethereum moonshots, which I believe it will this quarter, guess what? That means that altcoin season is on, baby. So you can see that, yeah, it literally did like a 50x what Bitcoin did. So pretty insane, right? 2021, Bitcoin obviously did exceptionally well, 103%. Ethereum still outpaced Bitcoin. This is what I was telling y'all about before, with 160% gain. And obviously, we don't have the 2025 Q1 results yet because we're still in Q1. But if you take a look at the left on the Q1 post halving year compared to the right, or just Q1 in general on the right, you can see Ethereum actually massively outperforms Bitcoin most of the time, okay? Especially in the post halving years. I mean, even in 2023, 2024, Ethereum did exceptionally well this time around, which is pretty shocking. But nonetheless, still a pretty sizable return compared to Bitcoin. Okay. And again, in the post halving years, it does exceptionally well. So that kind of lines up with the theory that I told you guys before, that Bitcoin can still go higher, which it probably will, because again, the Pi cycle top indicator has not yet, we're not even close to the top on this thing. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Bitcoin can still go much, much higher, and Ethereum can still gain dominance on Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin dominance can fall off a cliff pretty much all simultaneously. Okay. So I'll give you, okay, you know what? I'll give you guys an example of what that would look like right now. So let's see if I can find, where's the drawing tool? There it is. Okay, so let's say that Bitcoin, maybe does something like this and kind of consolidates right here, right? Obviously, I don't know that it's going to take that long, but let's say it does something like that. Okay. This is what we saw last cycle. Okay. Bitcoin topped out, went sideways. What happened with the Bitcoin dominance? Bitcoin dominance kind of went like this. And then Ethereum went like this. This can all happen simultaneously. Okay. As Bitcoin goes up, tops out, the Bitcoin dominance should watershed all the way down, indicating that Ethereum and altcoins are going to gain massive dominance and overperformance on Bitcoin. That is normal for a crypto cycle. Okay, again, that is completely normal. That is supposed to happen. That's exactly what other crypto investors in this market are expecting to happen. That is what I am expecting to happen. Okay, so let's get into the Google search terms for crypto. You guys can see that we have retraced quite a bit, which tells me, again, we are not likely at the end yet. We would want to see pretty close to 100 to indicate a major top. We are not seeing that. So I still say, I wouldn't necessarily say Bitcoin's cheap anymore, but compared to where it's probably going, I would say, yeah, it's probably still pretty cheap. And so the crypto search term applies to all of crypto, not just Bitcoin. But that, once again, we saw a nice little squeeze up here, but again, we're not anywhere near 100. And this, combined with many other indicators, suggests that likely the alt season really hasn't even started yet. With the exception of a few outliers like maybe Stellar and XRP and Dogecoin, AIOZ, maybe a handful of meme coins, something like that. But most of the cryptocurrencies haven't really done like stellar gains yet. Okay, so Bitcoin, a nice little drop here. Again, that's kind of to be expected. Last cycle, right around this time, we saw that Bitcoin did have some kind of pullback in January. So am I shocked that this is happening? Not really. Again, Bitcoin and crypto have pulled back on the idea that maybe the Fed's not going to cut as much as they said they were. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am calling that BS. I don't think that's likely going to fly. I think we will still see massive rate cuts. It's just the markets are convinced at this point that that's not going to happen, but I'm pretty confident that's not going to be the case. Okay. So, yeah, anyways, Bitcoin pulled back on that. Still relatively cheap. Have not seen even close to a peak yet. Again, we have to see somewhere probably between a 75 to a 100. And we got a 70 back here, but again, that was because of the spot Bitcoin ETFs. It wasn't because of the actual cycle itself. Okay, so fear and greed. Even though we had a nice little juicy pullback on crypto, you guys can see we're still in the greed territory. Do I think we're going to fall off a cliff here? Based on the fact that we've only been up here for a couple of months, probably not. Usually, when this right around this time of the cycle, you guys can see it'll sit up there for quite a while, like 4, 5, 6 months. I mean, we're only roughly about maybe 2 months in. I think it's just a slight pullback. I do think the crypto markets are ultimately going to go higher, and I think we're still going to stay in the greed territory for a while. I don't think that's going to change. I mean, it may kind of pull back a little bit, but I don't think we're going straight to fear and extreme fear. I just don't see that happening. So MVRV, we're kind of creating higher highs, higher lows here. It's a bull trend. You guys can see pretty much every single time that happens usually leads to higher highs. The idea here is that when it's in the green box, Bitcoin is the cheapest to buy. When it's in the pink boxes up here, it is the most expensive to buy. Which means that if it's in the green box, it's a great time to buy, and if it's in the pink box, it's a great time to sell. Again, not financial advice, but we are currently only at a 2.5 to a 3 somewhere on the MVRV compared to when the cycle peaks actually took place. We saw anything from a 7 going up to like a 10. So, yeah, long ways away. I really don't think Bitcoin's even close to topping out yet. Okay, rainbow chart. This one's pretty straightforward. So as we get past the halving, the black line that you guys can see here, if this thing would actually work, I don't know why it's taking so long. There we go. Okay, so the black line you guys can see here is the price of Bitcoin. What happens after the halving? We usually chop around the blue area for a little bit every single time. And then eventually, when Bitcoin is ready to take off and the whales are done accumulating, we see it move up from that blue line. We've seen it every single cycle. So I told you guys back here during the pullback in time that was probably going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. I'm still expecting this thing to go much higher. I mean, we landed nearly in the dark orange box last time, and we're only in the green right now. So, I mean, it's possible we could make it to maybe the lightest shade of green here or even the yellow, but again, we're not even close to that level. So once again, it reiterates to me that likely Bitcoin's not topped out yet, and crypto as a whole. Okay, next one here, Newpol chart. So very simply put, when it's in the green box, the capitulation stage, that is the best time to buy Bitcoin. As you guys can see, the blue line is the price, and the best time to get out is when the blue line is in the pink box, which more often than not during euphoria and greed in the previous cycles has indicated a major top. We're kind of sandwiched in somewhere in between, but again, the likelihood that what we just saw at 108K is a top, probably not likely. I think this is probably going to push much higher. Okay, so Pi cycle top indicator, the EMAs currently sit at 81,000 at the low and 135,000 at the high. I'll tell you guys right now, this $80,000 level is a significant, or it's not exactly 80,000, but somewhere around 80,000 is a very significant level. I did not want to do that, so give me just 1 second, y'all. Go over here to the daily time frame. This is actually what I wanted to look at because, again, if you're not entirely sure where a zone is, you can start from the largest time frame and work your way down. But you can see this 77,000. We got kind of this bull pennant, and then we broke out, right? That's a pretty significant level, I would say. Obviously, 80, 86, 85,000, somewhere there at the bottom of this kind of channel is a major level too. And if we go over to the weekly time frame, you can see the yellow EMA also sits around 83,000. So it lines up pretty nicely, right? So once again, with the pi cycle top indicator, Bitcoin doesn't usually really ramp into its parabolic phase until we get price above the green EMA. Currently, the green EMA is at 136,000. So yeah, we got a long ways to go. And that is the case every single cycle. So that's when it starts entering parabola. But when it actually tops out, or when it's supposed to top out according to this indicator, is when the yellow line either touches or crosses above the green line. And again, the price is not even above the green line yet. So the likelihood that Bitcoin's even at a top, not likely. Okay. Okay. So next one here, M2 money supply. Again, the pullback on the M2, which is the blue line, has happened because, the Fed's like, well, we're not going to give you guys rate cuts anymore. Hey, sure hate it for you, sucker. Right. But like I've said, do I think that's really going to play out ultimately this year? Yeah, no, probably not. I'd give the probability of that playing out like the Fed said it was going to, probably like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. I just don't see that happening. I think it's total nonsense. It's hard to say exactly why they could be doing it. Maybe the reason is legitimate. Maybe it's politically motivated and Biden is just wanting to throw people under the bus on his way out. Maybe I don't know. I mean, the Democrat, not obviously not all Democrats, but a lot of the Democratic Party tend to be a little bit salty like that when they don't give it what they want. But let me be clear about this. Okay, the people were the one as a majority that voted for these Republicans. Okay, and the elections work that way. It is the vast majority of the nation that decides who ultimately gets to be put in power. So that could be the case, or it could just simply be the case that the Fed is actually lying to the markets. What they're actually doing is talking the markets down. They'll come out and say something hawkish when they want the markets to come down, but they may not necessarily mean it, and they might flip the script later, or the inverse could be true. Any of these things could be possible. Okay. But again, I just don't think that the Fed's going to stop cutting rates or be higher for longer. I mean, guys, I said that for 3 years. How much longer are they going to drag it out? Probably not much longer if they really do ultimately want to keep their jobs at the Fed, would kind of be what I am thinking is likely going to happen. So anyways, the green hills here, higher peaks, still expecting M2 to move up. I mean, this is a slight pullback. I don't think it's going to last. When the M2 moves up, Bitcoin and the crypto market moves up, obviously, as the borrowing costs become cheaper for businesses. When the Fed lowers rates, it makes it easier for businesses to expand their business, right? And we all know that Trump and his administration is very pro-business. And on the consumer side, it makes it easier for consumers to go buy stuff that they may or may not necessarily need, and it makes it easier for investors to make money in the markets. Why? Because anything and everything, doesn't matter if it makes money or not, speculation or profitable, probably going to go up in price. So yeah, I'm expecting this to follow these patterns back here where we just keep going up. Okay, so next one here. App Store, again, I think this pullback is a dip buying opportunity. You guys can do what you want to with that. I'm not going here to tell you one way or another what you should do with your money. It's your money. You can do what you want. I will tell you guys that based on this indicator, we are not seeing, I mean, the only crypto app that is in the top 100 as far as I can see is Cash App. That's it. Keep on scrolling down here. I'm just not seeing anything, and keep in mind people could be using Cash App for anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be for crypto. It could be anything. So the next thing on the list is way down here at 102. So yeah, nice juicy dip buying opportunity. All right, so let's get into Bitcoin. So already told you the levels here. Okay, so it needs to hold somewhere between 77 to 83,000 at the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it holds 92,000. Middle of the case scenario goes down to 87,000. I mean, there's been a lot of wicks bouncing off of this 92 level here. Do keep in mind that the big institutions like BlackRock and Fidelity are still buying Bitcoin, okay? Because they have to for their ETFs for their investors. So that could be what we're seeing right here. The ETFs entering into the space has changed the game substantially, because even if the markets are bearish, these guys are probably buying the dip, right? So it kind of has a counter effect. If the price goes down because of some stupid, pointless macro piece of data, well, guess what? They're probably in there buying the dip because they got trillions of dollars to do it with, right? So yeah, that's kind of the cases on or thesis on Bitcoin. Again, I will show you guys the maximum profit targets here for the. Let's see if I can find it for the price of Bitcoin. So this little micro move here basically shows that we could go as high as 150,000. That could happen. Now, if I'm doing the macro retracement here from previous cycle high to previous, or to I should say current cycle bear market low, you guys can see the price can go all the way up to roughly about $250,000 Bitcoin. Okay, that could absolutely happen. So the next thing I want to go down and show you guys is the daily time frame. So it did appear that we were about to get a golden cross, but then of course we got some shenanigans. So that's it's just like Wall Street to do that, right? When you think it's going to go in a particular direction, they're like, no, just kidding. No, we're going to make you wait another day or two. You know, that's just kind of how they operate. Unfortunately, it is one of the things that makes them so good at what they do is they have somehow mastered the art of making a fool out of everybody. So what I will say on Bitcoin here is that we have what appears to be still in play a bullish divergence on the 4-hourly time frame, which funny enough we're also seeing on the Nasdaq too and the S&P. So yeah, we could be seeing a reversal to the upside here pretty quick, and we are oversold on Bitcoin yet again, which is usually a pretty solid indicator of a massive move coming up to the upside. Now, the next thing I wanted to go over here is, because when in doubt, zoom out. This is not something that we have talked about a lot recently, but I wanted to bring this up one more time to point this out to y'all. The highest probability scenario that we have here is that likely we are going to get a green year for crypto this year, okay? Why is that? Well, once every 4 years during these cycles, we get a red year, okay? It usually happens during the midterm years. So we got one in 2014, one in 2018, and one in 2022 as of most recently, which is why the next bear market is probably not going to take place until next year, right? For crypto at least. So 2015, 2016, and 2017 of that cycle was all green years. 2016 was the halving year. That was also the presidential election year. Then you have 2019, 2020, 21, all green, right? So now 2023, 2024, which was the election year, we're green. And what should be happening on the yearly chart based on history? Well, we're in the third green year. So Bitcoin and crypto should be green this year. I just wanted to put that in perspective for those of you guys that have doubts. Again, when in doubt, zoom out. Just try to keep things in perspective here. So, all right, let's... Now that we've talked about Bitcoin, let's go over Ethereum real quick. So Ethereum is still in this triangle pattern, still trying to break out. It's just a matter of time before it does. I mean, this looks like it's really trying to knock on the door, breaking out here to the upside. Again, once Ethereum takes off to the moon, that is it. Alt season is on at that point. We're going to see altcoins absolutely just do stupid, just totally retarded gains. Like, you won't even believe your eyes. It's so crazy. If you're new to crypto, if you're not new to crypto, you already know what to expect. So Ethereum's Fibonacci retracement says it could go as high as 18,000. Do I think that's possible? Yes, I do. So that'd be an 18x from the lows, roughly, whereas Ethereum last cycle went from $100 to almost 5,000. So you're talking a 50x, okay? Is it crazy to think Ethereum could get an 18x this cycle? I don't think so. And again, Ethereum goes up, all coins go up. That's generally speaking kind of how it goes. Okay, so I'm not going to go over the total crypto market caps or others in this video. We'll just, if data is relevant, I'll go ahead and post it to you guys on X. But what I will do is I will go over the Bitcoin dominance and ETH Bitcoin charts here. So again, Bitcoin dominance, as soon as Bitcoin finds its peak, we should see a waterfall shed moment in the Bitcoin dominance. This is an inverse indicator, okay? As Bitcoin dominance goes up, Bitcoin should be going up in price. And as the Bitcoin dominance comes down, Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have to come down right then, But what will happen is because the Bitcoin dominance is flowing down, that means that money is flowing out of Bitcoin into altcoins and Ethereum, and altcoins and Ethereum should be going up. Okay, and this diamond pattern that I've shown you guys at the top of a move, which is usually a bearish pattern, in this case indicating alt season is about to happen, should, based on probabilities, break to the downside. Okay, so we would need to see a candle close outside of the diamond pattern, and keep in mind we also are retesting this rising wedge, which is also a bearish pattern. So usually when you get a retest of a resistance level, what happens? It shoots to the downside. Okay. And again, the timing lines up perfectly here. Okay, last cycle, right around January. So essentially, roughly exactly 4 years ago, what happened? The Bitcoin dominance dropped into February, kind of went sideways, and then in March, it really took off to the downside, and alt season and altcoins went absolutely stupid. Okay, so last thing here we're going to go over is the ETH Bitcoin chart. So pretty simple here. As this chart goes up, that means Ethereum will gain on Bitcoin. There's two things we would need to see for that to happen. Number one, Bitcoin has to top out. A lot of these indicators indicate that hasn't happened yet. And number two, we need to see a break of this trend line, and we have not seen either of those yet. But you can see based on this drawing here, this is kind of what I'm expecting to happen. So do I think Ethereum is going to go up all the way into 2026? I kind of doubt that, but you guys get the idea, right? We get the break of the trend line, and then boom, it takes off like a rocket, just like we saw last cycle right around 2020. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm expecting here. So as Ethereum breaks out and gains on Bitcoin, that's when ETH and altcoins and probably a lot of the grayscale trusts will start moonshotting. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.